Today we're back in the kitchen for another episode of our Then versus Now series, where I show you guys how I used to make some of my most popular recipes back in the day versus how I would make it now. Today we got baked spaghetti on the menu. Meet me in the kitchen, let's make it happen. All right guys, back in the day when I was about 18 years old, I had my very first apartment and I lived off of baked spaghetti. We used to do 2 in a foil pan. I'll make 2 foil pans worth and I would eat it all week. Wouldn't recommend that now. All right, the original recipe is super simple. We're using what I used to use, which is ragu spaghetti sauce. Not the best spaghetti sauce on the market. If you want to use something that's a little bit more complex, a little bit more flavorful, I would go with something like Rayo's. I also did a whole episode on all of the different pasta sauces at the grocery store. You can check that out if you want to. Today we're keeping it tried and true though. OG ragu is going to get the job done. We got Italian sausage, we got ground beef, we have cheddar, which is not at all authentic to spaghetti, but that's what I used to use. Mozzarella, onion, bell pepper, and of course the spaghetti pasta.
You won't buy the peppers pre-diced?
I think no, because they're more expensive pre-diced.
Yeah.
All right guys, so after all the prep work is done, dicing the peppers, dicing the onions, grating your own cheese, it's time to go ahead and actually start cooking. Now, back in the day, I never grated my own cheese. We did that today. Typically that would have been pre-shredded from the store. We're using 80-20 ground beef and some mild Italian sausage. This is optional. If you don't eat pork, guys, you can go ahead and use turkey or just all ground beef is cool too. I'm gonna add a little bit of oil to our pan. 1 pound each of sausage and ground beef. I think back in the day I used to use the links more often, but this is what they had at the store today, so this is what we're going with. Gonna get this in here, cook it, add in the peppers and the onions, and then basically build our pasta sauce, courtesy of ragu. All right. As the meat is cooking, we're gonna go ahead and season it up some. We got about a tablespoon or so of Italian seasoning. I'm gonna use my all-purpose, which was still in the R&D phase back then. Salt, pepper, garlic, onion powder, things of that nature. Back in the day, I kind of just used whatever we had. A lot of onion powder, a lot of garlic, salt, pepper, the basics. A little extra salt because my AP is low sodium. And then we're gonna get in there and just give this a good mix. Break it up. I don't think I really was dicing much fresh garlic back in the day. And this was before they had the garlic paste that I use now. So garlic powder was my go-to. I'm gonna give this a mix and we're gonna add in our ragu. Good to the last drop. And then you can clean this out. Use it as a cup. Never did that? That's a good cup size for back in the day right there. Give it a mix, let this simmer, add a little sugar, season to taste. Good to go. All right guys, so we're gonna add a little sugar, which in hindsight is absolutely ridiculous when it comes to ragu because it's already sweet. But we're gonna add some because that's what I used to do. And then you guys know what this is. Green top Parmesan. Gonna add a little bit of that to our sauce and then save the rest to add to our plate of pasta. Turn the heat down a bit, mix in that parm. Gonna add a little saltiness from the Parmesan. It's gonna be good. Don't get your blood work done after this, but it's gonna be good. All right, so once the pasta sauce is done, we're gonna add the spaghetti, mix it together, put it in the foil pan, top it with cheese, pop it in the oven at 350 for about 20 minutes until that cheese melts and everything comes together. And you got lunch for a week. All right, so one of the techniques that I've learned along the way is when you're browning ground meat in particular, you want to develop some crust. It's going to add color, flavor, texture, all that good stuff to your recipe. So it's very important to get a good sear on your meat. I'm going to add a pinch of salt in here just to get the party started with the seasonings. We got some Italian seasoning. I got my buttery garlic pepper seasoning, that AP seasoning. I'm going to add a little garlic. Got plenty of flavor coming in our Boursin garlic and herb cheese blend that we're going to put together. this is going to be a much more elevated version of the original. There's still hints of, you know, what I learned when I very first started making this that are made it into this recipe. But for the most part, this is just a more refined version of me making baked spaghetti for years and years. So this is what you want to see here. You got some nice color and crust developing. Again, that's going to add texture, color, flavor. Very important. All right, guys, so the difference between store-bought sauce, something like ragu especially, and making your own tomato sauce is pretty significant. Like, for example, in the ragu sauce, there's no real tomato in the actual sauce. If you read the ingredients list, it's tomato puree and water, which kind of makes the sauce. For us, we're going to use actual San Marzano tomatoes, which they're naturally sweet. They're better for you from a health perspective, and they're more flavorful. They're more robust. Again, naturally sweet, a little bit acidic. It's going to be a lot better as far as the flavor profile goes. You want to add All right, so we're going in with a tablespoon or two of good quality tomato paste. That's going to add some concentrated tomato flavor. And if you're using ragu, they would just add water to the tomato paste or tomato puree, not even really tomato paste. And that's kind of how they make their sauce. We're going to mix this tomato paste in and kind of allow it to caramelize a little bit. It's going to add some of that concentrated flavor. And then we're going to add in our crushed tomatoes and tomato sauce. You could also deglaze with a little red wine here, something dry like a Cabernet or a Merlot. If you want to, you know, really take it to the next level. We're not going to do that today because we're trying to keep it relatively simple. And, you know, a lot of folks don't want to cook with wine and things of that nature. So we're going to leave that out today. We're going to go ahead and mix in the tomato paste, then go in with some good quality tomato sauce, and then our San Marzano crushed tomatoes that have a little basil in there. I'm going to give this a mix, allow that to simmer for a good 45 minutes or so, let the flavors really build and develop, season to taste. The better quality tomato products you use, the less sugar you should have to add if you use any at all. Because the cheaper products tend to be a little bit too acidic or bitter, and that's why people tend to, you know, add things like sugar, carrots, or honey, things like that to sweeten up the sauce. Gonna add a little pinch of sugar, give that a good mix, let it cook down a little bit longer, and then we're gonna move on to our cheese mixture that I add, similar to like a lasagna concept. Really, most baked pastas have something like that, like a ziti still typically would have like a ricotta layer to it. All right, folks, if you want to keep this a little bit more on the traditional side of things, you can omit the boursin garlic and herb and the sour cream, and you can just use traditional ricotta. I like this blend a little bit better. It's more flavorful in my opinion, so this is what we're going with. We're going in with 1 block or 5.2 ounces of boursin garlic and herb cheese. If you haven't used this stuff yet, it's absolutely delicious. Great with a charcuterie board if you got some extra. Good as a little snack with some crackers. Going in with that. Then about a ½ cup of sour cream. Going to begin to give that a mix. The only other ingredients we're going to add is some Parmesan cheese, a little bit of mozzarella, some basil, parsley, and then season to taste. All right, so once we get our first layer of pasta in, it's time to go ahead and add our creamy, cheesy layer. Adding tons of flavor. The creaminess really plays nicely with the pasta sauce too. And if you want to really widen your back, you could add a little cheese layer right here. A little mozzarella, something to give you a little cheese pull. But there's plenty of cheese in this recipe already, so no need to overkill. Unless you want to. All right, for the OG method, Wonder Bread, butter, garlic salt. That was the original garlic bread right there. Before I started getting Texas toast, that's how we used to do it. A little butter bread. For the razzle dazzle, a little garlic salt. And that, my friends, you eat that with your spaghetti. Take a regular bite first. Can't forget the green top. Here we go. Tastes about right. Only thing missing is like a country crock butter. Eat it out of one of those. That's good. That's never not gonna be good. Just like that. I did this with a hot dog bun before too. 10 out of 10. All right, for the new method. Smells much better. More layers of flavor. I like the boursin, adds a nice touch. Not as sweet as the ragu version. I haven't been eating carbs lately, so this is really hitting the spot. Let's see what the guys think.
What you going dinner now? What you going dinner now?
This is better spaghetti. This is sweeter and kind of like hits the nostalgic notes, but this is better for sure.
Yeah, this one tastes completely different. You can tell. I like both though, but
Which one you taking home with you? You can only pick one.
I can only pick one. I had to go this one. That one got like a lot more flavor.